Hey, I'm Christy Mitchell, and welcome to Unfudge Your Marketing, the podcast where we talk about what really happens when marketing doesn't go according to plan. Every week, I sit down with business owners and leaders to unpack the missteps, the experiments that didn't land, and the decisions they'd probably rethink if given a do-over. But more importantly, we talk about what they learned on the other side and what you can take with you as you build your own business. Success rarely comes from getting it right the first time. It comes from taking action, making mistakes, adjusting, and showing up again and again. If you've ever wondered whether you're the only one figuring this out as you go, you're in the right place. I am so excited to welcome Mark Stern to the show today. Mark is the founder and CEO of Custom Box Agency, an experience design firm that helps entrepreneurs turn digital offers into intentional, real-world customer journeys that increase conversions, retention, and lifetime value. A former Deloitte strategy consultant and Duke MBA, Mark has supported over 150 campaigns for growing brands and has been featured in Forbes as a Next 1000 entrepreneur. He's also the creator of the 57 Hats framework and the Activate Deck tools designed to help business owners simplify team building and customer acquisition. Mark is the host of Dash Talks Live, a fast-paced podcast spotlighting founders, marketers, and operators who are actively building and scaling with a focus on real strategies and execution. Through his work, Mark is focused on helping businesses create experiences that drive clarity, connection, and long-term growth. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Christy, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am excited for this conversation. I was sharing with you. You are one of my first matches to come on the show from Podmatch. So we'll give Podmatch a little shout out today for bringing us into those worlds and making this conversation possible.
Yeah. I've had some really good connections on Podmatch. So Podmatch, it's been a tool that I've enjoyed.
Yes, I will say I used it for a long time just to get on other people's shows before I started my own show a couple of years ago. So I was just kind of like on the free version, to be honest. And I was like getting on other people's shows. And I was like, you know what? I should really like put my show up there, like gig. So like the floodgates opened. I'm like, holy crap. I have this long list now of guests to come on the show. So I'm really excited.
Well, I'm honored. So thank you.
Yes. So, Mark, when we talked about having you come on the show today, we were chatting about your kind of transition from corporate to entrepreneurial life and some of the marketing mistakes, lessons learned that kind of happened along that journey. So, where would you like to begin the conversation today?
I mean, part of it is the shift in just the story of where I came from, because I grew up in Alabama, and you're just kind of taught that there's just this natural growth of life, that you graduate high school, you go to college, you graduate college, you get a job, and then eventually you go to grad school, and then you get the big corporate job in the house with the white picket fence. And that's like, you're just set for life. And I followed that path to a T. I used to joke that I was the poster child of corporate America, but if you flash forward to 2012, I graduated Duke. I was $165,000 in student loan debt, and I had just signed a 2-year commitment to Deloitte Consulting, which, if you know anything about a big consulting firm, you have no quality of life. You are picked up every Monday morning. For me, it was 4:45 a.m. to go to the airport, fly out to your client. You fly back at the end of the week, and you do that every single week, and I did that for 6 years straight. And so you get to this point of saying that this can't be it. This can't be the life that you think it should be. And I started going to a lot of marketing conferences, and that's kind of where I was introduced to entrepreneurship in the digital marketing realm and online building a business. And so it took me until 2018 to make the leap, to leave corporate America and this world that I had known my entire life, to go into this realm that I had no idea what the business was going to be. I just had a belief that if I made the leap into entrepreneurship, release that capacity that Deloitte had in my brain, I could get into a creative space and figure out what it was going to be. So I made the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship with no plan, no idea, just like kind of holding your breath and jumping in the deep end. So yeah, that's kind of like the starting of this journey.
You're one of the brave ones, Mark. So many people straddle both, right? They like build the thing on the side while they still have the comfy corporate sort of secure
Yeah.
thing going, and you're like, nope, I'm done. I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. I'm doing the thing. I don't know what the
And
thing is yet, but I'm doing
you're,
it.
you're totally right. And here's what's crazy about it. Deloitte by contract at the level I was at, you have to sign, you sign over anything you produce is owned by the firm. So this idea of starting a business as a side hustle was just not an option because you always have a fear
Yeah.
that the firm will own your IP based on the contract. And I don't think they'd have ever come
Wow.
against me, but it was enough of a friction point that you didn't want to test
Yeah.
it. And I get why they do it, but it was
Yeah.
like literally, if you want to do this, you have to quit your job.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, Mark, that's super interesting. I was not aware of that. And that makes total sense that you did it that way. But I have friends who have done that kind of like straddling both worlds thing. And that was
Yeah.
not my experience. Personally, I had a really bad corporate experience that, just kind of shoved me into it. Cut the ties real quick and move on. But I think, honestly, I think you and I are at an advantage in that way because you got to make it work when you're
Oh, yeah.
kind of straddling both worlds. I think it's really easy to just I'll just keep doing it. I'll just keep doing it. I'll just keep doing both. And when you don't have that, you're like, well, all right, I got to make this thing work if I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think the most liberating part of it all is in corporate America, you're hired into a bracket. Like you're hired into a role, there's a salary bracket, there's roles and responsibilities. And when you're starting a business, there is no bracket. So it's this when you're like, oh, that's not possible, or I can't do that, it's because you're limiting you. No one's telling you no but you. And so that was like a
Yes.
mental shift that I had to go through of, wait a second, I can do that because no, like this is my
No one's going
business.
to tell you not to.
No one's going to say that that's
Yeah.
like not something I'm allowed to do. So that was
Yes.
liberating, but it's also like, how do you navigate this new domain?
Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about what happened in the early days in terms of marketing this new thing you were building, and what's something that just really didn't go as you thought it would.
It's so funny. And just looking back at those days, when I started to build a business, I found myself frustrated a lot. And part of it was with the world that I came from, it's not a 9 to 5. It was like a 24/7. You're always working, you're always working. So pivoting to entrepreneurship, I never felt like I was doing enough. And yet I was doing a lot. The first business I did was virtual events. This is pre-COVID. It was how can you leverage a virtual event as a lead gen tool to collect information. I followed the path to a T in terms of how to launch a virtual event. We had 40 speakers. It was a little insane that I had 40 speakers for my first event. But what I did that I didn't realize at the time was laying the groundwork of the business we have today, Custom Box Agency, is I love PowerPoint. PowerPoint is like my love language. We used it so much in corporate America that I can build anything on PowerPoint. And with this virtual event, we built a little pamphlet. I actually have it right here. That's funny that I actually have it right here, called Entrepreneur Elements, this little brochure that spotlighted all the 40 different speakers and information about them and how to navigate the conference. And when people bought a ticket, we sent them something physical. I did not anticipate that act of sending something physical would be something that would change the way I thought about business forever, because people started getting these items in the mail. They would start to teach them in their communities. They would start to do unboxing videos or highlighting things in different reels and posts. And so all of a sudden I was getting all this organic content because I sent a physical product. And every time we launched an event thereafter, it started as a pamphlet, but then I was like, I'd love to send a box that if you bought my product, I can mail you a physical product. And the challenge that it solved was just send me all the tools and resources I need out of the gate. So when I have a digital experience, I have everything out of the box. And so that's kind of where the business started. And we can get into some of the biggest challenges that we faced initially. But, this was an accidental business that was never meant to be a business, that everyone just said, how are you building these physical products with these things that you're doing? And that laid the groundwork to what ultimately became Custom Box Agency.
Oh, that's super interesting. One of those unexpected, didn't see it going this way, but now it's a core. I mean, it really shifted the whole premise of your business, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. And in this age of AI that we live in, where everything is becoming more AI agents, AI everything, you're seeing this rise of digital distrust, that the content that you see online, the reels that you watch, is this actually real? I think that our bet really is in this AI. The power of analog, offline, physical is just going to get more
Hmm.
relevant, especially as we think of physical products to enable the digital experience or the virtual or the local. Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Pendulum swinging the other way. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Mark, if you had to pick a mistake, or maybe sometimes we don't like calling them mistakes. I think there's something to be learned from every one of those. Mistake, misstep, marketing experiment that just didn't go the way you thought it would,
Yeah.
in not a positive way. Curious if you can kind of like take yourself back to some of those early things you tried.
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think that the thing that what I needed, but it's always the thing you need that you don't want to pay for is mindset and mindset rewiring, especially if you're in the six-figure phase, the power of mindset and how you're thinking about it. Am I worthy of having a business? Am I qualified to have a business? I didn't realize how much I needed that. So coming from corporate America, I just assumed I'm a high performer in corporate America. When I make a pivot to entrepreneurship, I'm going to be a high performer in entrepreneurship as well. And I ended up making that pivot, applying the same principles that I learned in corporate America, and was falling flat on my face, was getting no traction, was trying to figure out what am I doing wrong, was building beautiful products. And the breakthrough that I had was the realization that corporate versus entrepreneurship is like checkers versus chess. The game board looks the same. Like it's the same game board that you play both games on. The rules are completely different. And the mistake that I made was I was playing entrepreneurship with corporate rules. And the second I realized that you got to learn to play this new game, entrepreneurship, you got to figure out how to start a business because it's a very different realm than climbing a corporate ladder. When I figured that out, it was like giving yourself permission to learn how to play a new game. And the thing that I hear a lot of people do, which is a massive mistake, is I hear people say, I'm pivoting to a new industry, therefore I'm pushing the reset button. Like I'm pushing the reset button, starting over again. And the reality is you're never pushing the reset button. You're just learning to play a new game, and your competitive edge is where you came from. All the lessons you learn. For me, all the things that I learned out of corporate, that was my competitive edge once I learned to play this new game of entrepreneurship. And so that's like the piece that every time I see people struggling, I'm like, do you have the right framing? Are you in the right lens and mindset to play this game? Have you learned the rules, or are you playing on the wrong game board?
Yeah. I am a huge fan of analogies, so I absolutely love that. Chess
Well,
versus checkers. So, what would you say to someone that would help them, right? Because when you're in it, you don't have the perspective, right?
I
You're
know
in
the
it. You got the
worst.
blinders on. You only know kind of
Myopic.
what's going on in your world. So, how would someone realize that maybe their mindset and the way they're approaching their marketing as a result of being in corporate for however long is really holding them back from
Yeah.
marketing effectively in the world of entrepreneurship?
For what you just said, and the simple fact that we get myopic, we focus on, we have our blinders on, and all we can see is what's in front of us. This is why I can't stress the power of finding a mentor or a trusted partner in this game. I think that every business owner should have a mentor to some degree. And I'm only saying that because for the reasons that you said, I can advise businesses all day. And I can't tell you how many times that, like, when we face struggles internally, I've had a member of my team look at me and be like, Mark, why don't you do this? Literally giving me the advice that I give to other businesses. And it's like, how can I not see the most obvious answer to the problem that's right in front of me, because you get so myopic? And so this is kind of where we're so limited between what's between our ears. And this can come in many different forms. You can join an association, you can hire a mentor, you can join a mastermind. There's a lot of local market communities. I'm part of some local market entrepreneurial networks. There's BNIs and master networks.
Mhm.
There's so many different groups that you can do to find that accountability. But like, don't live and play this game by yourself, because if you play it by yourself, you truly are limited with what's between your ears. Getting out there and associating with other people, and especially finding a mentor or someone to look up to, just provides a little bit of a line of sight that, and I don't know, for me, I have this belief that entrepreneurs, it's part of our role to hold a bigger vision for our people than they hold for themselves. And so if I hold a bigger vision for you than you hold for yourselves, then I can hold a bigger belief in you and help you strive and motivate you to achieve something bigger than you ever thought was possible when playing by yourself. So those are kind of where my thoughts are at. But I have loved the mentors I've had or the partnerships or communities I've joined, because it just stretches me in a way that I get outside myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I wrote about that a lot in the early days of entrepreneurship in terms of you can't do it alone. You might feel like you're alone, but you need to find those resources and those people and communities that you can lean on, because that's how you get out of your narrow scope. That's how you learn. That's how you keep growing, building your mindset, all of those things.
Indeed.
So I'm curious, Mark, obviously, mindset is a big thing. We're talking about having those trusted guides and resources in our world so that we're not doing it on our own. If you could, and actually, I don't even know, how long has your business been what it is?
So I left corporate America in 2018. We went all in on Custom Box Agency in 2020, right at the beginning of COVID. So we're at 6 years, which is like formally, probably 8 informally, which is crazy.
Yes. The time flies, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It's just like once you get past 2 to 3 years, it's like you're now a dinosaur because businesses come and go so fast.
Yes. However, I do feel like more and more people, those of us who stick with it for the long haul, it's that like overnight success thing, and it actually took you 20 years. That whole, we just keep learning. We just keep iterating. I'm curious, Mark, in that time, what has been a big marketing lesson for you? Like, what's something that you're like, oh yeah, we tried that and realized that's not right for us, or anything coming to mind?
Oh, tons. Are you kidding me? Since we're in physical products, like these are the things that like I keep seeing businesses create, where they lock themselves in a room and create a product and they put it out in front of them. And my problem with that is you're not engaging the person that's going through the product. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen businesses put together a product that when I say, is this how you do it? Like, is this how you're creating? And they look back at me and they go, oh no, I do it this way, which if I'm going to engineer a product, it should mimic how you do it, not how you think you should teach it, that it should be easier. A good example is we launched this product called 57 Hats. I can send you one of these. I love this product so much. But this is a tool for business owners to understand, do you know how many hats you're wearing in your business? And so in 15 minutes, you can go through this game. There's a board that walks you through a couple exercises, but you'll figure out exactly how many different hats and how many different departments are you wearing. And that's important because if you know how many hats you're wearing as a business owner, then you can start to take off the hats. You could say, I should do this. I should delegate this. I should delete this. We should find someone or leverage AI to replace this. But until you know all the permutations and roles you're doing, you may not have words for certain things you do in your business. This is a tool that was designed to help that. What we expected is people using this as a self-diagnosis tool. I thought people would get this and take it for 15 minutes to use it to diagnose themselves. What we started to learn, and this is the lesson in here, which is you don't dictate all your use cases. You can identify it, but sometimes you have to lean into what your consumer is doing. So if you've ever heard the story of Heinz, where they discovered that households across America were flipping the ketchup bottle upside down because they wanted the excess ketchup to drip to the bottom, they redesigned the product to fit so the topping's at the bottom. So it's always simulating the behavior that was happening from the consumers. That lesson I can't stress enough, because when people started getting this product in their hand, they started leveraging it with their leadership teams. They started leveraging as tools to understand, why is this person struggling so much? Oh, I didn't realize they were wearing this many hats. They started using this as a sales tool, meaning they'll sit down with leads and prospects and take them through the exercise. And when they take them through this 15-minute exercise, they can say, if you hire us, we'll replace these roles, holding up the cards of the hats that they would replace. So there was all these use cases. We had elementary schools teach it in entrepreneurship classes, which I did not have in Alabama growing up, entrepreneurship classes at all. But it was all of a sudden, the market is defining new use cases for a product that, had we not paid attention to, it completely changes the value and the perception and the usability of the product. And as we start to refresh it, it gives us new opportunity to say, here are new use cases that we didn't even think about that are powerful ways to leverage this. We never thought that this could be a sales tool. We thought it was a self-diagnosis tool. The market showed us that there is bigger opportunities for it. So this is kind of where I can't stress this enough. You may have an idea, but until your people start interacting with whatever it is that your products and services, it may unlock these new use cases. And even for an at-home business, you may go into someone's house and start seeing new applications of how people are leveraging your services or insights of things that they're asking for that could be supplemental opportunities. But if you did not engage and really have those conversations to see consumer behavior, you could be missing out on a big opportunity.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. And to be honest, on a personal level, I'm piloting this new extension of my services for the business owners I work with that leverages AI to create content in a very brand aligned, closed, let's really do this in a strategic way so that we're not just contributing to the noise that's out there. And you're so right. Piloting it is, is teaching me a lot about, okay, well, this is what I thought it would be, but here are some other possibilities of how a company might want to use it. And so being open to that, being aware that what you put out there might get used differently than you intended it, like you're saying. And then you as a business owner, not only making sure that you're in tune with that, but really taking the time to reflect and say, how can we leverage that more? What can we do with this new information that we have?
Yeah, and this is another reason that if you're not surveying or asking questions or collecting feedback from your customers or your clients, you're missing out on a huge opportunity because they will tell you what they want. And at the end of the day, they're the buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so interesting. So now I'm curious, what do you do with that tool? Are you marketing it to everyone, including schools and entrepreneurial classes? What are you...
Yeah,
so your scope got way widened by all this information you have.
And you're right to say that what you got to be careful of if you start to see, oh, I could do this and I could do this. We could white label this and come up with 57 hats for financial professionals, 57 hats for the real estate space, 57 hats for doctors and lawyers. Right. And so you could spin off all these different divisions of this product. So this is kind of where you can go a little crazy. I think that where we've landed is a cool strategy we could do is launch an annual version of this. So this is the 2025 edition, the 2026 edition, the 2027 edition. And it gives us permission to revisit the product, but coming out with the new edition. And then the other thing we could do with products is have limited edition. We only have 5,000 or 10,000 versions of this. And when it's sold out, it's sold out. You have to wait till the next year. So there's urgency and scarcity. There's all these tactics that you can try. So the sky's the limit. For us, really the biggest play I think that we have is focusing on headhunters, internal HR, different types of recruiters, and then turn this into a digital tool. Because you talked about AI. One of the most powerful things you can do is through the levelables, through the vibe codes, the replets, the Claude codes, build out custom software. So I can easily take this product, turn it into a digital version, leverage that as a lead gen tool to get people into my world, knowing anyone who opts in for it probably needs help with org structure or staffing. And that just opens up a conversation that we have solutions on our back end to support them with just leveraging this as a front end. But you're right to say we could start to roll out all these different use cases. We're going to stay narrow initially because once you go wide, it's just like a pie. The pieces, the wedges get so much smaller, and the love and attention you need to give to each one just it grows so much more. So we'll probably keep it broad, and then start exploring, do we want to niche it down or do we want to find co-brand partners? And so we've had people reach out to us to say, can we co-brand this with you? So it's 57 hats, the insert company edition.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And right. Just because we can do it doesn't mean we should do it. So
it is the worst thing as an entrepreneur. And then you got to be careful because you'll go to any mastermind or watch something on YouTube and you're like, I need to buy these 500 AI tools. And the reality is you need to keep doing what you're doing and find a mentor, listen to Christy and her suggestion in terms of exactly how you should do it, but focus on one strategy. Because I promise you, if you start digging around every week, there's about 400 there's so many new tools that launch and they all could do something. Just focus because if you pick a lane, I don't know. I just discovered that no one likes ChatGPT anymore and everyone's going to Claude. I'm so far behind on that bandwagon. I didn't realize I was that far
Yes.
behind. But I'm catching up. So the game just changes so fast.
Claude or Gemini, I will say. I'm a Gemini fan.
Are you Gemini? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Mark, you've shared some really great insights and tips for listeners. We talked, just to kind of recap here, we talked about mindset, the importance of, putting yourself out there and being around the right people to help broaden your mindset, make sure you're looking at things differently, playing checkers versus playing chess. We talked about listening to our audience, whether it's before we launch something, after we launch it, being open, but then also just because we should do it doesn't mean, just because we can do it doesn't mean we should do it. Lots of great little nuggets here. As we get ready to wrap up this conversation, is there any last piece of advice that you want to share?
Yeah, I think the last thing I would share would just be around it's a hard game we play as entrepreneurs. And but I will tell you this, having been in corporate America, I wouldn't trade anything in the world for it. When we were talking before this, one of the things that I was telling you that was a lesson that I learned was when I was at Deloitte Consulting, they wanted me to be the world's greatest generalist. They wanted me to be good at everything. You have to learn to master strategy to execution. In entrepreneurship, I took that same lens. And when you try and be good at everything, it actually is a detriment to your growth as a business owner. And what I mean by that is I see people that, they had a photography business, but then they have a business, then they had a business in crypto space, and now they have a business in AI agents. And I have no idea who they are and what they represent. Or they may have a business that does Facebook ads and YouTube video editings and podcast editings, and it's kind of all over the place. Entrepreneurship doesn't celebrate you being good at everything. They want you to be known for something. And so when I niche down to focus on physical product development or custom boxes, it made it so much easier that if I believe that I want good people to win, then I have to assume other people want me to win. The easiest way I can help me win is make it very easy for you to be able to understand who I am and what my business does. And so this is kind of where in entrepreneurship, the more you niche down, when people say riches are in the niches, I can't stress that enough, because you're establishing yourself as I want to be known for this. It doesn't mean you can't do other things, but be known for something in the marketplace, because it makes it 10 times easier for someone else to say, if they're like, who does Facebook ads, or who helps people launch home cleaning businesses, whatever that may be, it makes it so easy to go, this person does it, because you know that they specialize in it. So that would be the only thing that I would share, is that if you have a business that is too many things, find a star and focus on that, because it'll make it so much easier for people to know who you are and help you grow.
Yes. Love that. Great piece of advice. Great way to wrap up this conversation. Very lastly, Mark, if people want to learn more about you and the work that you're doing, how can they reach out and learn more?
Of course. Thank you for asking. You can always go to customboxagency.com. That's our website. You can sign up for a free consultation. We love to help people. We'd love to hear what you're up to. We'd love to learn what you're up to. Otherwise, find me on LinkedIn. It's probably under Mark R. Stern, or Facebook. Drop me a message. But we always love to hear what people are doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and share your experiences.
Thank you for having me, Christy.
All right, everyone. Until next time.